2025. It's Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today, and we will call this meeting to order. And we will read the appeal statement pursuant to the provision of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Law. Please take notice that decisions of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County Community Review Board may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that the time and procedure requirements are met. Okay. Are there any public comments? Anybody call in you know of?
Oh, no, you need to
Okay. All right. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we do. I believe yes. Okay. All right. Board committees. All right. We did not have a list of the committees. We have. Do it out of order. Okay. Okay. Let's do the. Are you ready for the 26 budget?
Yes. I left it in the car by accident, but I can tell you a little bit about it.
Okay. Yes.
So the budget, I had a meeting yesterday with the budget committee, which is really at this point, it's just a one person from the board. As far as we know, it's just Member Haddock. She's the chair of that committee. So we met yesterday to go over some of the prerequisites. For instance, budget season is open. It started yesterday on the 14th. We have to have all of our information uploaded into Norbert, which is the system, the budget system, Norbert. Norbert. I don't know the acronym, what it stands for, but anyway, that's the name of the system, by February the 7th. And so she and I are going to meet again once I come off of vacation. So the last week in January, we'll meet and go over the ins and outs of the budget. I know we talked about positions. Chair Haddock was, Board Member Haddock was, talking about, as she has in the past, a budget that is reflective of a national standard, which is, that we would receive 1% of the police budget. And so she talked about that in the meeting yesterday. There's more information that we would need from the police department. We also are unclear how many officers, sworn officers that they have at this moment. We don't have that information, and how many vacancies they have. And then also it's unclear how many investigators are assigned to OP and the OPA staff, as well as OPA's budget. And so those are some of the things that we're working on. And so once we get that information and we get our budget together, we of course have to present it to the board. The problem here, it always has been an issue, is the bylaws state that we're supposed to present the budget to you all in advance, but that meant that we would have to have it in at this next board meeting. And we won't have that together, this next board meeting, because, Drew was on we worked a little bit, but we have been working on the MOU. And so what we'll have is the information that we'll send to you but we can always make some changes to it, but we won't be able to present it to you for a vote until February. I'm talking about the February meeting.
Okay.
So it seems like because this happens in January, I mean, really, most times we have to have everything in the system or the first week of February. We need to have a budget prepared in December probably, and so we would have to start it like October, November, so you guys can vet it and then decide on it in December, so that when it comes to putting in it, we have already, met the requirement of our bylaws.
Okay, in the budget, I think I talked with you in December meeting about adding additional personnel, where you have additional people to do the investigation, so that when we look at the cases that we got coming in, the complaints that are coming in, we will have the staff to be able to work while we won't overwork people, We got people that need time off. We got people that need vacation. And so when you got a small staff, you overwork people, and hopefully that we can get a couple extra people added to your budget. Like I said once before, if you don't ask, you won't get it. Yeah. And so hopefully that they would consider us increasing our budget, at least towards that purpose anyway.
Yeah, when we get our budget equity tool and our positions, I know that there are some positions that are key to the work that we're doing. And so I've identified those. We worked a little bit on identifying them yesterday. And I don't want to be, presumptive and then present those to you right now at this meeting. But I'll make certain that you get all the information. Every year we usually send out a whole budget packet to the board members so that you guys have an idea. And we usually have Metro uses something called a budget equity tool, and it kind of is it comes through the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Is that what it's called? Whatever. But anyway, it comes through that office, and they present, and but it's a budget equity tool so that you can, as you're talking about positions that you need, you also give some kind of like clarification and identification on why you need those positions. And so and how and then you look like add in there an equity lens. And so we do that every year. I'll just so that you have an idea what you will receive, I'll send you the old budget from last year so you can see what the packet looks like in that budget tool. And so, yeah.
Yeah. What is the drop dead date for uploading the budget to Norbert?
The 7th.
The 7th of February?
Yes.
What can you circulate to us between now and then that we could actually vet?
Right. We're going to do that. We'll start putting that together. I wanted to meet with or I can just have a conversation with her. I'm going to be out of town next week, but we can make certain that the positions that we talked about yesterday, that we confirm those and then get that information out to you all, so that you'll have it before the 7th. But even if you have it before the 7th, we won't have a board meeting for you all to vote on.
Well, that's the second shoe.
Yeah.
Is there a methodology by which we could adopt it in an extraordinary session, either virtually or by some other method, so that we actually could vote on that submission before you upload it?
Yeah. We could call a special meeting, if we needed to, before, hold on, let me see. We were talking about the submission is, hold on one second, let me get the dates for you. Yeah, so So I'm out next week, so I won't be back until the 27th. I'll be back Monday on the 27th. And so if we did a special call meeting, we had planned to make certain that we have the budget uploaded days before it's due, of course, just in case we have some issues with Norbit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, that kind of stuff. So we want to make certain that we have our information in at least 2 days before it's, so that would be the 5th at the latest. And so if we had a special call meeting, we could try to shoot for the 3rd, February the 3rd, or sometime the week of, I think that would be better for me because I'm going to miss a week next week. So, making certain that we have that documents and all the information ready. We could shoot for the 3rd for a special call meeting. We would just have to see if MNN has the capacity to do that.
You be out a week.
I'll be out.
Now, when you're not here, who will take your place?
Dr. Risby.
Well, then you could brief her on what need to be done, and she can go forth with it or present it to us if that's okay, I don't want to put you in a bind while you're out on vacation and be worrying about this. When you're not here, I need somebody to step up and take charge.
Oh, I think she's capable of doing that and has done a lot of that. It's not that we will be working on it all next week anyway. So Katura and her will be working on that and connecting with the chair if she need. With member Haddock, but she said that she would be available on the week of the 27th, which is the week I'm coming back anyway.
Okay.
But we just received the information for the budget tool. So let's just put the dates in perspective. The budget, it just opened up on the 14th. Some people go ahead and start putting their submissions is because they have prepared for it like October, September, October, November. And we're working on the MOU. What we know kind of how many positions we want. That 1% thing is something new that we had discussed in previous meetings. We've discussed that it is a trend. It's across the nation. It's not something that's just something that's coming up. It is something that we talked about ever since we have been in this position, if you remember, from 2020 up into now. And so we just haven't executed it in that way, but we've provided documentation from cities that are comparable in size, but like I said, we have, right at this moment, we're missing the numbers that we need. So that's going to be an email to Commander Lara to give us an update on, because what I've heard was that they have filled most of their positions. And what that seems to be would be a police department of about 1,700. So, yeah.
What, 200? What?
It was over 300 million.
Over 300?
Last, yeah.
And of course, 1% of that would be 3 million.
Right. And we are currently at 2.2 million.
Okay, yeah, of course,
Thank you, Chair. Hopefully, Commander Laura can expedite that information to you as we are on a tight crunch with the February 7th deadline. Since that is the hard deadline, I know you're out of town, could we get that budget packet the week of January 27th? That way we have read it and are prepared to have that discussion on a potential special meeting. Mm-hmm. What do we say, the 3rd? Okay. So yeah,
you can probably get that. You can probably get some stuff, right? Like not the final packet, but you can get some information that would be helpful for you guys to review it next week.
Okay, and then if I may, I also had one other follow-up question. Outside of voting on the budget and approving it, once we've been able to look at that and have internal discussion, are there any other expectations of this board in regards to the budget or how that process works?
I think the first thing is that we need to do some committees and see who wants to volunteer to be on that. so since we only have 7 people, it's been a little challenging because with 7 people and multiple committees, maybe we can cut down the size of the committees. Because we had an MOU committee, we've really just used and tapped into our MOU committee because we were working on the MOU for so long. And so we have, and I'm going to pull up the committees now like I was supposed to be doing. And there's a budget committee, nominations committee. Hold on for a second. There was, I think, a community engagement committee. And there was one other one. Hold on. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, rules and bylaws. Thank you. I think those were the 4 committees. And did I say budget? I think I did say budget. Yeah. And so those are the committees. Some people, it's, 4 standing committees. So I'll pull those up for you.
Okay.
And right now, I think the only person on the budget committee, it was Drew Goddard, and now it is Alicia Haddock. There was no one else on the budget committee, I don't think, that I can recall. I'm going to give you that information right now. Okay?
We
Did I answer your
definitely
question?
need to have more than one person on a committee. So,
Right.
3 is ideal, but you're right that you don't want to overwork the board members, but certainly a minimum, I think, of 2, but ideally we should have 3 on a committee. And we need to get a list out of who's on the committees because I've kind of lost track.
Okay, I'm going to send that to you as soon as I pull it up.
I think on the bylaws committee, we had one thing that we made to amend by the bylaws was the length of time we was talking about at the last meeting. That was the only thing I think of that we probably need to amend the bylaws on. Was it 1 year or 9
Right,
months?
where we change it, the date from it was January 1, and we needed to change it to October the 27th. Yes. What is the budget? Do you have those committees listed? I have them somewhere. I know I do. I have them. Let me turn this on. Any other questions about the budget?
I guess I
Yeah,
have
one more question.
one question. I'm a little concerned if we kind of try to limit ourselves one way or the other to the 1% and the exact numbers of officers and size of OPM. It seems to me like we really need to base that on our workload and what our anticipated workload is. It seems like we're kind of waiting on the police department to give us some numbers, but really that's kind of the tail wagging the dog. We need to look at what we need to accompany our workload, and regardless of the police manning or something, to me that's kind of immaterial. We need to look at our own, what our workload is, what our anticipated workload is for the next fiscal year, and base our requests on that. I'm just a little concerned that we're locked too much into what the police department numbers are. We need to focus on what our needs are.
I agree with you on that. So we have worked through a organizational chart and what that looked like. I'll send that out to you all. Of course, bless you. We know that we need more compliance monitors. I know that one of it was 2 compliance monitors. Okay, so let me start here. So let me just back up a little bit. So one of the things that we did in this department, when we started, we had 10 people. This is just a little history. So we started with, originally we started with 9 people when it first started. They realized that we didn't have an administration, a person who does administration. So then they added that 10th person. So if you go back to the COB, it has in their Amendment 1 that there were 10 people for the COB. We are now at 15 people So we started at a $1.5 million budget. We are at a 2.2 and some change $1 million budget. And so we expanded our services. And then one of the things that I realized is that there was no leadership within our structure. It was just myself and an assistant director position. And so I realized that we needed to, because I just don't have the capacity to do every role and to manage everyone in the office any longer. And so what we did was we built out in this last few months, we built out some leadership within the agency. So compliance monitors, we have 4, but we made one person a lead compliance monitor. And that, which now what that role is, it helps compliance monitors. They have like really someone who can they can send their information to, directly ask questions to, and who is accessible to them immediately. Then we built out we added another leadership position, and that is the community engagement, Ms. Cash, and that role became a managerial position. And so we have now 5 leaders within the office. We have a lead compliance monitor, we have an assistant director, we have a lead research analyst, we have a administrative service manager, which is Ms. Barnett, and we have a lead community engagement. Oh, and community engagement. And so in that, that has really helped us. And so that we have 14 staff members currently. That 15th position was used to fund those leadership positions. And so we tried to get that position filled. We had a person who then decided to go to another department after we offered that position to him. And so we use that to fund. And so that position we'll fill that position. And we are requesting 2 more compliance monitors. That was the tentative number that we worked on yesterday. I have asked for an executive assistant since we started doing this work, because I, lean on other people to help me do a lot of the work that an assistant should be doing. And so an executive assistant position is one that we're going to ask for as well. And then there were a position on our research team, expanding their role because we are getting a lot more work. We have reports that we want to make certain that we are connected with the police department, with policy advisory reports, as well as some engagement with our city council members. And so we need to expand that. So I knew that those are the positions that we talked about yesterday, because those are needed within our agency. But I will tell you that our community engagement team only has 2 people, really 1, and that is, our manager. She does most of all of that work, and she relies on, other people within the department structure to help her. And so she's working on trying to get more volunteers to help do that work. And so we really would like to expand that department as well, because as many community engagement initiatives that we have, when you ask people from within the department to do the work, then they're not getting their work done. And we have a backlog that I'm trying to get out, and using compliance monitors to do community engagement right now it's just not going to work. We've got work that we've got to get done. They have to get it done. And so when I look at where we have deficits, those are critical FTEs for our department. Those are not like those extra things that we were talking about for like this, meeting this 1% thing. These are proven, and we have the information to support why we need those positions. Of course, with any budget year, there's always the mayor's office always wants us to be cognizant of savings And so that comes out within every budget structure that, they want us to, put away some savings. Last year, I think it was 30,000. So we put 30,000 in our salary. It was just overall budget savings. And so, that's pretty much where we are with those positions.
We were talking about police department. You have to wait to see what they have to do for their staff. The police department been short. I know before I left 11 years ago, we did a study on comparing Nashville with other cities compared to the same size, and it showed that other cities were operating like 2,200, 2,300 people. As we were at that time, we was operating like a little over 13, close to 1,400, and it hadn't changed. I think they just graduated class year recently, and I believe that on the agenda they're scheduled to have 2 more classes, and these classes, some of these classes are not very large. I think they're trying to do some of these lateral transfer classes, which make it much easier and the time much shorter, Right. So the time we did the ride around, it didn't take me 30 minutes to figure out that the police department was short, Right. And so if we got to determine to get a small fraction of that budget, into ours, we'd be most appreciative. But they talking about saving money. Do they talk about saving money when they're trying to develop the river, downtown? So let's put it where the people, the taxpayer can benefit. We got people that can't afford attorneys and stuff to defend them and stuff. We are here to represent them. We're the eyes and the ears to help resolve some of these issues they're complaining about. And they need us and we need them. And hopefully that we can continue to go strong and support them and try to resolve some of these issues, It's all about, a lot of it is about being professional, Things happen so fast out in the street, you only have a split second to make a decision. And hopefully that you make the right decision. You make the wrong decision, you got to deal with it. And it's not the end of the world, If you make a mistake, you got to deal with it and suffer the consequences, and stuff. And we're here to be a peacemaker, when we want to be the outside source from the police department so people can trust in a decision being made that they get an honest answer from their complaint, that we can sort out what went wrong. And we're not saying they're wrong all the time, My thing is to do that job, you need, when you leave home, you got to leave with a clear mind. You got problems that you're dealing with at home, you leave it at home, and when you go out and do your job, you got a clear mind and do that job. You go out on the street and try to do a job, and you're trying to concentrate on whatever problem you're having at home, you suffer to make a mistake. You suffer to say something wrong to people, But if you go out there with a clear mind, you can do a job, be more professional.
I have a question about the community engagement, or maybe it's just a request. Is it possible to, I don't want to speak for the capacity of other board members, but to maybe have a regular, just a call for volunteers to the board whenever something needs to be done? Because I'd be more than happy to jump in and volunteer whenever I can. So if we can just call on us. I feel like we can be doing more to help in that department. And would volunteers also come from just the general public too?
Just the general public. When we have these big, for instance, when we are at different festivals, like the Pride Festival, like Juneteenth, and wherever we are, because we do a lot of those, in the summer. we ask people to sign up on volunteer lists, and so we are taking those lists, and they've been going through calling people to see what their capacity is, if they're still involved or still interested. You know, of course, when you have those festivals, people just sign and they just put they just like, yes, I'll sign it, and then you never hear from them again. So we're working through that now to develop that. I mean, and I really, it's. When it gets springtime up until the end of the summer, we are usually doing 3-4 events a month. And so not only does it take capital to do that, right, but it also takes people power to be there. Sometimes we have 2 events at 3 and lunch and learns and things of that nature, because as a CRB, what we found out was that people think that we've been abolished. And so they don't know what we do now, and just trying to educate the public is something that we've been doing a lot of. And so having small lunch and learns with groups, but also when we're at these events, it's not the perfect time to explain what we do. And so we need to, having those other meetings in between those larger events has helped us, to let people know that we're still, we're still standing and doing this work.
It might be a
So
good.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
No. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to see if there would be like organizations that would do specific events, like maybe a church will just come in and volunteer, or one of the community organizations, and they take on an event, and then bring their members to volunteer for one thing. That might be a way of.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you and Miss Cash can get together, and then that would be great, because anything that would help us to make certain that we are showing up and people know that we're available, and we would like to partner with them. I think one of the other things that we did that was I think it was really helpful was having our meetings outside of the Sunny West building, because going out into the community, people know that we're in their communities. Everyone can't drive downtown at 5 o'clock. And if you live in Antioch, it's probably going to happen. And we've seen that. We went to we were probably in every corner of this city, not last year, but the year before in 2023. We were in North Nashville. We were in Madison. We were in just Antioch and over off of Thompson Lane, and we were just everywhere, and Green Hills and Bellevue, and just all these places. And what we saw was more people engaging with us in those. We were bringing this department to them. And I thought it was really good. It took a lot of work, because we have to coordinate with M&N, but it was worth it to make certain that people knew that we were available in their communities. So we want to continue to do that. But thank you, and she's noted that. And so if you guys can collaborate, that would be great.
When we do these meetings, we probably. And I'm not saying you're not doing it, but did extra effort in notifying the community, that we'll be here on this date. And if they got some issues they want to discuss with us, this is the time to do it. And usually when you got something to offer people, they will show up. They will be there before you get there a lot of times, So, but definitely, people would like to know if they can express to you something that they experienced, and hopefully that will encourage people to, when we do go to the different locations, they will be there, and we will be glad to listen. They have the public comment, and we can do that.
And I just want to say, just back on the budget thing, thank you for that, Chair Holloway. When I talked about wanting to know the numbers for MMPD, we just need to know that information no matter what. Like, it's just something that we should know. We should know how many sworn officers they are. We should know how many are assigned to whatever divisions. I mean, this is just foundational information that we should have in our capacity, in our ability with our research team or whatever, to know how many officers are assigned to traffic, how many officers are assigned to this particular department or to North Precinct. And that's information that we don't know. That's information that we should know. I don't know how many police officers, how many vacancies they have. And when I talked about how many investigators OPA have, I think it's important because we are reviewing their investigations, and I think we should at least be parity with them in regards to how many investigators they have doing this work. Because if we have 3 and they have 8, what that means is 8 people are going to be sending over investigations, and there's only going to be 3 people reviewing them, which gives us the time frame is going to be stretched. And so, that's one of the things that I was talking about when I was talking about numbers.
Yes.
How often do we attend ComStat meetings?
That's a good question. We don't, because they no longer are having ComStat meetings. And so that's a good point, because I just brought this up with my research team in relation to, the police meetings. We were previously going to their staff meetings, and then they stopped ComStat. And then they just were having regular, like some meetings that we could attend, but we're no longer attending those. So I don't really know how that process looks currently.
The ComStat meeting, it's what it was just stats, padding the books more or less. You will have them every week, see how many arrests you made, how many reports you made on assault, how many burglary. And when you got people going downtown locking up 50 drunks, like you're really solving the problem, and you got 100 people out here committing the real felony crimes, that's not helping the city, And I used to see them go in U-Haul and bring in a caravan full of people that are homeless people, didn't have no place to stay. And the homeless people, it's some mental illness, and they're not solving the problem like it really should be done. You're getting taxpayer dollars to get them somewhere to live, and as soon as they act off and off the medication, they kick them out, And that's not helping the problem at all, And I hate to get off to that, but that's the truth. Okay, are there any more questions pertaining to the budget? I said we move down to what is that? The 25th CRB initiative report. Are you ready for that?
Yeah. I put that in there because that's something that the bylaws state that we should be getting together to talk about any initiatives or goals or that the board wants to do. If there's anything special, I will tell you that there are certain things that one of the things that we are planning to do every year. The first one is having a spring, some type of big community event similar to what we did with the fall festival. We're going to have a fall festival. Those are going to be our annual events. And then a third thing is in the middle, sometime probably, I want to say July maybe, I would like to have a citywide town hall with collaboration with other criminal justice stakeholders. So we're going to be working towards that as an initiative and have that event somewhere. It won't be, of course, in our office space. We have to find an event center to hold that. The last time we had one was at the Luby Center, and that was in 2022. And it was very successful. And so I would definitely like to coordinate with all of you to see what, I would love for you to be there, be a part of that. But that will be an annual initiative for the CRB, as well as in the research team will get with you. But when we were a CLB, we had 2 reports that we had decided would be annual reports. One of them was a use of force report, and then the second one was a traffic stop report. And so those would be our 2 annual reports that we would, provide every year to the city. But there were some other initiatives we were talking about, that's why we need to get some committees so we can work on some initiatives that we want to, just kind of be that they're ours, that we own those, and that is something that we do. I think that town hall meeting is one that would be I think it would be really good for our city and for public safety in general.
You said in July, now, you got a lot of people traveling during the 4th of July. So if it be that time, hopefully it'll be towards the end of July,
It'd be, that's good.
4th of July is a big celebration here in Nashville,
Yeah.
And so it's hard to pull people away from their families when they got people coming here, thousands of people coming to Nashville during the 4th of July and see the fireworks and stuff, And they call Nashville the It City. And I was wondering why it was that. Then I took notice of the celebration and the number of people come from all over the world here to enjoy Nashville.
You don't have
They come here to celebrate my wife's birthday.
That's your wife's birthday? Okay.
Like being on Christmas.
But it sound like a good plan, and hopefully and also what need to be brought up. We had asked one of the legal advisors from the Metro government that when they used to sit in our meeting that do a workshop where we can discuss this law that was created by the legislator, and so we can be on the same basis. We may interpret it one way and they interpret it another way. And so far that have not been done. And if you remember, we was talking about, it's just like reading the Bible. One person got one interpretation, then another religion source got another interpretation of the Bible. So I felt that if we got together and had the legal department go over this new law that the legislature created for us, that make sure that we're on the same page. So that only thing she was giving us, oh, you can't say this, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, what can we do, And if we have a workshop discussing it, make sure that we're on the same. We don't want to do anything to put us in any kind of violation, but we do want to stand up for justice. Yeah.
And to that point about the training on the law, I think that's a great idea. I would love to see that as well. I'm wondering if, as a part of 2025 like goals and initiatives, if it would also be useful to maybe meet with the Davidson County delegation from the state legislature. Maybe it could be in conjunction with that legal training. But I'm curious if there's been any relationship with them previously and if they know of the work that we're doing, especially with the laws that are being filed this year and coming in. It might be helpful to establish a relationship with them, maybe even in conjunction with the legal training. So.
I love that. And we haven't had a whole lot of collaboration with them. And of course, we met with them. And they reached out to us when this new bill was, first was like being, passed around, and that was in 2023. I don't think that we had any communication with them last year in 2024 at all. And so I think that establishing that relationship would be wonderful.
Well, the only lawyer as part of the Davidson County delegation is Jeff Yarborough. Yeah. Oh, is John Ray a lawyer?
Yeah, John Ray.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. So we had two. So I would start with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the legislators got some issues of their own that I've recently seen, and hopefully that they would get their resolve instead of trying to. But anyway, the lobbyists from the police department has been down there constantly since this board has existed, and depends on who you got lobbying for you, who you campaign for, who you donate towards your campaign. It's an independent investigation that's going on, and thing is mighty quiet right now, and I'm curious, hopefully that we will hear an answer soon. Your question?
I just had one other thing I wanted to add. I had mentioned this before. the meeting, but I was hoping this body might consider also following legislation that's filed. I know there was a bill dropped on police standards and training for police law enforcement officers. And I know we don't actively lobby the legislature, but I think we should definitely be keeping up with what they're introducing and what could impact the work that we're doing in the local community.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The numbers speak for itself. Whoever got the largest number got the loudest voice. Who send the laws out, who get the laws passed, and that's not hard to figure that out. And we can be that every day, but until we get some additional people voted into the legislators, where the number become 50-50, we can get something done. But right now we got a small number of Democrats. And so it looked like if we got a large number, what we say goes, and that's what we're going to live by. But that's amazing. How can you create laws that affect people that voted for you? People that's complaining are not only Democrats, they're Republicans. You know, they're being affected, you know. And we want to, like I said, and I keep repeating this, we want to do the will of the people in Davidson County to the best that we can. And we don't want to take advantage of anyone. We want everybody to be here. We want to see if you got a complaint, we want to help you with it. See if we can decide what is the problem, what can be done, you know. And people feel comfortable when they feel like somebody are listening to them, they're being heard.
I think we've identified another potential budget item. And that would include engaging not a lobbyist per se, but someone who represents our interests on the Hill. Now, that may mean that there's somebody who already has a package of persons that they lobby for currently, and they would take us on as a client, but somebody who's reviewing legislation on a daily basis so that when something comes up that's important for us, they flag it for us. We're notified about it and can formulate some responses to it.
Would that be an employee of our department that would be assigned to that? I think I may have mentioned that to you a little bit, but I don't know.
So I have to think about it some more regarding how that would become manifest.
Okay.
But I would just hesitate identifying them as a lobbyist. We
Right,
get some
no,
feedback,
right.
some negative feedback on that, but yeah.
To follow up on that.
Yes.
To follow up on that, I think it could be a person internally, a staff person tracking legislation, alerting us, and then we could work with council or the mayor's administration to address any lobbying needs if that's what we wanted to do. I don't know that we need to hire a contract lobbyist. I mean, I think contract lobbyists are great, personally, being one, but I don't think we need to hire one to track the legislation. If we have someone internally who can track it, then we could work with the council or with the mayor's office, because both the council and the mayor's office have a lobbyist. So
You're a contract lobbyist?
I am, so I would not be able to represent this board, unfortunately.
Well, you may not have to represent us as much as just at least for a time until we did something more permanent to monitor what's going on.
Sure, I'd be happy
Because,
to
I mean,
work
if you're
with a
there
staff
on a
person.
day-to-day basis,
Right.
you know, that's the issue. Who's going to be there in session? You know,
I'm there every day.
What we have
Yeah,
people
I
that's
agree with
been elected can do just as well to have community meeting and inform us. But there are some meetings that are going on now from representatives, state representatives in the meeting, and you can talk with them and let them know that you are concerned, and they will set up a meeting and let you know what's going on in the meeting, and you don't have to have a lobbyist. And I do know from what I've been seeing that we do have some people informing people in that area what's going on downtown.
I have a question about just thinking about capacity. Where are we with as far as like interns? Are there any current interns that have applied or that we're planning on working with soon?
So yes, she's working, Ms. Cash is working on an internship program. We do have an intern every year, but it's a high school student, right, that we host. We haven't, so at some point, and we kind of lost contact, I was working with one of the professors at Tennessee State University. We have some connection with some university students at Vanderbilt, but as it pertains to undergrad and up, we haven't had that. We because we were kind of just trying to get our really stay afloat. I hadn't really got that together, but I'll be helping her with that internship because I do think it is important that we have internships and have those relationships with colleges and universities locally. And the high school, I'm not, they do good work, but they usually do our community engagement stuff. But this kind of work and research work, we would like to have, university students.
What about law students?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That'd be really nice.
That's what I was thinking.
And there'd be interest.
Criminal justice or law students too. I have a relationship with TSU as well as Nashville State because I do academic writing support with those universities. So I would be more than happy to pass on information or talk to the professors that I work directly with.
Okay.
When that becomes available.
Yeah, we trying to figure out what they would do. We need to work on that. I mean, any of you who would be willing to help with that, what an intern do for us, and then I think didn't we add internship funds in our? So last year in this budget, this fiscal year, we asked for funds paid to pay interns, like a summer intern for June and July, but we didn't get those funds, and so. You
asked for it, you didn't get them.
We didn't get any of the things that we asked for last year.
Ask for them again.
Okay.
That's what you have to do. You keep asking for it and they get tired. So to get this going, let's go ahead and approve it.
Yeah.
But ask for it again.
We will. And I think that, so Ms. Cash, our community engagement manager, is working on an internship. But I think that she would need some help. Like I said, it's just one person. And what do we need them to do, right, is one of the things that we have been trying to figure out. For high school, it's pretty simple. But for, university students, to keep them busy. I also, when I was working with TSU, we've had a Vanderbilt intern from the community, I forgot what it's a master levels program. We've had one, and then we've had 2 interns who are high school students. So, yeah.
Also, Big Picture High School, they have, all their students have to have internships too.
Oh.
So, and they spend 2 days out of the week, 2 or 3 days out of the week actually working in the field. So there might be something, I know we're talking about college and grad level or maybe law school students as well, but just some information to know about Big Picture. They always have students looking for internships because they have to have them to go to school there. Yeah. And
so with our interns, really the only divisions in our department, it would be community outreach and engagement and administration and research. Because the other information is, it's all confidential, and so they wouldn't be able to really work in the compliance. But those would be great areas for them to work in.
All right. We are here on the resolution also involves shooting.
Yes, we finally got to that. So I saved that for last, and I saved that for Attorney Clark to address.
Thank you. Executive Director Fitchard and I looked at this issue and thought that this was at least a good approximation of the most that we can do by resolution to not just say that we want to address this issue, but to sort of outline what the authority that exists allows the board to do, and then also it highlights the board's priorities that were previously discussed with regard to encouragement of public engagement. And we identified that in some of these cases and officer-involved shootings, it's already been investigated by the TBI, it's already been investigated by the OPA, and they have their own use of force experts. Well, and based on my own experience in federal civil rights litigation against officers involved in shootings, other use of force experts may have other opinions about the appropriateness of an officer's use of force. So this just sets out the sort of guideline by which this board could seek to hear testimony or hear an opinion by an independent expert that could help sort of be a litmus test to say that, yes, these other expert findings are accurate, or, hey, this does involve some really specialized knowledge that, requires physics, acumen, or, in-depth knowledge of police policies and procedures that I don't have as a lawyer, and that
Forensic science.
yeah, forensic science, exactly. And so if in the future the board finds that, hey, we'd really like to know more about what the significance of this particular chemical compound's presence at the scene of this shooting, what does that mean, or what does this autopsy report, what does it really mean whenever we're talking about these levels of drugs? Does it mean that this person actually died from an overdose, or does it mean this person had consumed drugs many hours before and we have to explain the death another way? Like that, that's the situation that we could see the board may want to hear, that sort of expert evaluation that's independent from those that came before it. And that's what Director Pitchard and I came up with, and I know that she has circulated this to the board for review, so let me know what questions you may have.
I had the opportunity to read this before the meeting, and my initial response is that I think it's a solid piece of work, but I have one query, and that is under the executive director's responsibility. The paragraph begins with upon receiving notice of a critical incident. What constitutes notice?
So in the MOU, the executive director is entitled to receive notice of any officer-involved shooting. That's what we were looking at. But that's a great question, because is it actual notice? Is it constructive notice? If the director sees it on News Channel 5 before receiving notice through formal channels, is that a circumstance that would trigger this? And I'll leave that to Director Pitchard to opine on, but I think we also should consider that what the board will be doing is going to be an after-the-fact review once the TBI gets in, conducts its investigation, and the OPA does as well. But
So notification, based on what the MOU says, is I would get notification like we used to get it, which is through a text message or a call from the East Emergency Communication Center. and that's how we got it in the past. We were in some type of system whenever there was an officer involved shooting. We also got the information at the same time the police got it. And so hopefully we will have that because this is what the MOU says. And then I think we agreed that I would set that up independently with ECC. And so I'll start working on that to get that notification process. We wanted to make certain everyone had their phones, and we now have all of our staff members have their cell phones. And so we will get that started. And how I've been getting notifications, though, is from Commander Lara. Sometimes that is hours, later. I've already made I've watched it on the news, and, so I've known about that. And so he's been calling me. And then, of course, his information was very limited in what he was sharing. And so we haven't had an officer-involved shooting or even a serious bodily injury since that has occurred. So I hope that I would get a call. And in fairness to what he said is, so he's making notification to me as soon as he gets it. But because he's not like a part of the criminal investigative team, or so he's not getting the notifications as quickly as some others, I believe. So that's what I've been told. So hopefully, because we have this new MOU agreement, and I'll set this up with ECC. I wanted to look at, and we can get any calls based on what the MOU says. We can get the same kind of calls that we used to get. I mean, not calls, but information. They would text it, that there was, for instance, I thought it was important that if an officer is involved in a high-speed chase and then there's someone gets in a wreck and has an injury, that we get notification of that. I don't want to get notified of every single thing that the police department is doing because my phone will ring all like it did in the past. And so there was maybe 5 or 6 things that we want to be notified of. Excuse me, as it pertains to the potentiality of someone having some type of injury, going to the hospital, or some type of serious bodily injury, or death in custody. I mean, just a few of those things. And I can give you all, once I've figured them out, the 6 or 7 that we want, I'll let you know.
Sounds good to me, but a lot of departments like that, they don't want your left hand to know what the right hand is doing. They want to make sure they get, if it's involved shooting, also involved shooting, to make sure they get a clear man and put him on the right track on what to say and what not to say, and make sure he gets representation out there,
I think one of the things that was important to the public when we first started this was that we were showing up to the scene, and they felt really comfortable about us being on the scene, although we weren't doing anything but observing. We weren't back with the news media. We were, pretty close, and and we had no issues with that. Observing what was happening. The TBI was always the TBI coming in for the most part, collecting evidence. And then after the fact, once they have done everything, the TBI would call us, or call me, or whoever the investigator was, and ask, did we want to do a walkthrough to see, and, they walk us through what happened. And so, as far as, I know, everything was going well. And we asked questions and took our notes and just waited, and, until we got into the case came to us.
Well, if there are a handful of methodologies by which you could be notified, let's particularize them.
Okay.
Upon receiving notice, either from TBI, from ECC, from, and not to exclude other potential methods by which you could receive notice, and leave it kind of open-ended, but particularize those things. Anything that the MOU already provides.
Okay. All right. That's good.
And that way, when you show, if and when you show up on the scene, we just received notice of this happening, and we're formally letting you know that we now know.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Question on experts or hiring. Where do we have in the budget the ability to hire experts or something?
So we have that fund, it's called other professional services. And so that's where we would hire consultants, experts, outside counsel if we needed it in that professional. It's just that.
What's that amount?
76,500 is what we budgeted for that amount. 76,000.
That's what we have left, or is that what we
Yeah,
have?
currently what we have left is 70,000.
Yeah. We initially, in this last budget, I think we asked for, was it 150,000? Yeah, and we got 50,000. And so we asked for 150 because we were thinking that we're going to have outside counsel. And so that ended up being paid through the Metro Legal. And so we have 50, and then when they have this system that's built in, it's a practice with finance, it's called True Up. You're able to move object codes around to where you think you need it. So I think we added an additional, we took 25,000 from other line items to put into that fund just in case we needed, for those big expenditures, like outside counsel, consultants, and things of that nature.
Do we have a list of experts that if we need to contact them, do we have access to these people?
I mean, I'm sure Attorney Clark has a list.
I have experts that I have used in cases, and it really is like Member Cersei identified. Some case you might need a forensic expert, another case you might need a police practices expert, another case, some specific like toxicologist. So it would be a case-by-case basis, and accident reconstruction, and universities are a really great source for experts. Like if I don't have somebody in my digital Rolodex of experts, I'll just get in touch with Vanderbilt or Belmont, and I'll look for the College of Applied Sciences or whatever it is, and ask for a recommendation there. So I think that's something that we could work to shore up and go ahead and preemptively say, hey, the Community Review Board would like to establish a relationship in order to have some expertise on standby in the event that it's needed.
And also, I mean, we're part of a national organization. They have, subject matter experts. And then there's NACDOL too, which I think I am still a member of them as well. Which I don't know why, but I am.
You have to be careful on experts because, there's a stable of plaintiffs experts and a stable of defense experts. And,
yeah.
you know what they're going to say up front. And I always wanted, when I had a handwriting or whatever expert I was using, I wanted somebody that would give me a true opinion of it, and good or bad.
Right.
And so I agree with you. The university, you tend to get an expert that's going to give you a balanced opinion and not going to tell you what you want to hear.
Right. That's consistent with my experience.
Like I said, having a relationship with them so that you know what you're dealing with, as opposed to using somebody that might be familiar with the police department and they have a relationship as well. You thinking they're going to sift out information that's going to be concrete evidence in which they are helping the police department, But like I said, starting it now, talking about it now, so we can get ahead of the ball game, establishing a relationship with different people in different areas, different locations, so they know who we are, and they'll be willing to assist us if we need them.
The question is, do we propose to have this submitted for our meeting the end of the month?
That's up,
Resolution.
it's up to you all.
Yeah. I'm going to be out of town the end of the month, but, my thought would be, I don't know that the board's got any resolutions on its books now.
We don't.
That's what I was thinking.
Good time to get started.
It is.
And I'm not quite sure what effect it really has, but to the extent it sets out a procedure for us to follow up, it makes some sense. I've always hated these damn whereases and therefores and stuff. I just something I've always sort of thought was legalese that didn't add much to it. But format is format, I suppose. I'd prefer just to say, this is the procedure we're going to follow without all the whereases and such. But that's just a personal.
I would be happy to revise and remove the potentially superfluous legal
Yeah,
jargon.
yeah.
Make one other change.
It's what our procedure.
And the-
it's
and the
our
notice.
procedure.
Yeah, and one additional change.
Yes.
Make it 2025.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
I'm not yet broken of that habit.
Once we do that, we can submit it to the board.
I like it.
Submit it to the board and make sure they digest it, and then go forward from there.
And Member Brown, I do have a question just for clarification. I understand the whereas word is a real sore spot for you, but
It's not that sore.
it did seem worthwhile in a resolution to point out the bounds of the board's authority, which are the MOU, the respective sections of the TCA, and then to also just state what the board's priorities were. Would the board prefer that whole section kind of be axed or just simplified?
I would think simplified.
Okay.
So, it always kind of helps to set out the limits. But, as I said, that's just I wouldn't vote against it because it's got whereases in it. But if we could get rid of them, I would suit me a little better. I just think it reads better that, I just see so many of these whereas, and, just say what you're going to do.
Duly noted.
Yeah, I would support it.
Okay. Are there any
You have
new?
something else?
And just to follow one
go
other
ahead.
sort of related issue to this resolution that Member Brown actually mentioned to me following the last meeting is that an MOU with the TBI is a good thing to go ahead and get working on. So Director Fitchard and I have begun that process, and the general counsel for the TBI is rounding up her crew that would need to be involved in those discussions. And so we expect to have a meeting to set up at some time over the next few weeks, and that we'll be able to make some progress on establishing an MOU.
Yeah, particularly in these officer-involved shootings and such, they're really going to be the driving force on it. And so I think, and there's a lot of things that if they're willing to release things to us early, that anything they can release to us early is helpful. So, so I think that's an excellent idea to get that started.
Well, it was your idea. I would hope it's excellent.
Well, that's why I wrote it. Yeah, so I congratulate you for getting started on it.
You advise they're working on this and probably get back with us within the next few weeks, couple weeks.
It's my understanding that we should be able to have a meeting set up in the next few weeks.
Okay. I'm trying to get it straight because this is already January the 15th. So I don't know, it's a few weeks in January or first part of February, but it will be soon.
Soon.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I won't be here next week, so it'd have to be after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question to that.
Okay.
Are we also going to have an MOU with the DA's office? I remember watching some meetings and a couple months ago before I joined the board, and there was a discussion about meetings and MOUs with the DA's. And where are we on that?
That is still in process. Yes, we need to have an MOU with the DA as well. I know that my law partner had taken the lead on that, and I need to follow up and see exactly why we don't have it in hand yet. So.
I do believe the DA got some issues right now. But they working it. I'm sure they're working it out. But we'll see how it comes out towards the next election.
6 years.
Yeah. But in the new business.
Well, I didn't put these things on the agenda. A couple things. The first one being we have the sexual harassment. The sexual misconduct police advisory report. Policy advisory report still in limbo. I reached out to Director Hall about the zero tolerance sexual misconduct report and to see where it was going. And she has responded back and said that they had, they were reviewing it. First off, for you all who were just kind of joined the board, this was board approved on September the 17th. And had a lot of support from the Women's Caucus, NOAA, and some other groups, NAACP, a bunch of groups, NAN, NOAA, and just many others. And so this has kind of, it's past the 120-day mark, and just trying to understand what they were doing. So she has kind of explained that. I'll make certain that you have this information. And so she said it was requested that they review it in comparison with Metro civil service and employment provisions. And so Metro's employment provisions and legal purview of Metro Human Resources are more limited in scope than what is outlined in the report. And as a result, there are portions of the NCRB report that are not applicable or cannot be addressed in their review. And so, and she's basing this on Metro's sexual harassment prevention and non-discrimination provisions that are allowed by local, state, and federal law. So I will send this out for you all to review it. Because so she says that they are, has been carefully reviewing the report and provisions cited above and expect to finalize this review in the next month or so, after all internal reviews and checks are completed. And that she appreciated the support and patience of all parties as they complete the necessary due diligence. So that information, of course, I'm assuming that needs some, we need some more information relating to like some dates. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't intending to speak this much tonight, but on this note, we have been waiting for several months. I'm wondering if it's beneficial for us to go ahead and start maybe meeting with some of these advocacy groups that are in the policy. Are there things that we could be doing while we're waiting on Metro to get back to us that kind of help us get started with the relationships that need to be in place? And I know the Office of Family Safety and the Sexual Assault Center were in the policy as other reporting options. They are people I work with at the state level. Mm-hmm. Could we go ahead and meet with them and start building those relationships and processes, or do we have to kind of sit still until Metro pushes go?
I don't think so. I mean, Diane Lance, from the director of the Family Safety Center, helped tremendously with sending information to us, looking over the report and making suggestions. So I think that our relationship with her is pretty solid. We did not have a lot of feedback from the Sexual Assault Center, which, but we did have a lot of assistance from some professors and people who work with the In Violence Against Women International, and so so this, I mean, 4 months is a long time, and so I know that they are reviewing it and they have this, but I do think it's important that we move forward on this, and that we, as a board, take some type of position relating to this so that we can move this forward. I think that we have been patient.
Well, at our meeting with the mayor last week, we told him that if we didn't hear anything from him by today, that we were going to start ramping up. This is Noah's meeting. We were going to start ramping up pressure on this issue.
And I guess that's my question is, it seems like we already have some relationships in place and you guys have already done that. I probably should have started that with a question. So I guess my question is then, what is our next step to push this ball up a hill if no one else is going to move it? Like, what is the next step for us as a board?
Yeah. I mean, you can write a letter to the mayor. I think having the same people who were involved with the creation of this, who assisted us with this. I mean, we had a whole press conference, but I really would like to get. I guess my first step is to reach out to the Women's Caucus chairperson, which is Joy Stiles, to see exactly what she would like to do about this, and she kind of was the person that spearheaded this, and see what she would like for us to do.
That sounds great. Just let's go ahead and talk with her first, and then come back to the board and let the board know what you discussed or what you came up with.
All right, I'll reach out to her, and then when we have our board meeting on the 27th, I'll make certain that I just, give you that information.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, and one other thing, I haven't heard anything about the investigation, so I just wanted you to know that I'm going to send out another letter. I just like to I know that they're not going to give me a lot of information on that MMPD investigation, but just sending just letting them know, like, we're still waiting, for that final report. He usually responds back to me. I'm not going to be able to give you any information as soon as we get finished, but I just want him to know that this is something that not only the board, but the whole community is waiting for. And so I will let you know. Page, yes. Mm-hmm. And so, see if we have any updates on that. And that would be new business, but I wanted to go, before we show, if I may, go back to the committees, because I told you I was going to go back to that, just so that we can put that, at least put it on your in your notes. Currently, and this was board committees as of November 22nd, 2023. So these are old, okay? On the rules and bylaws, there was Joe Brown, Walter Holloway, and Sean Witzel. On the MOU, it was Drew Goddard and Alicia Haddock. Nominations committee was just Walter Holloway. For training, education, and mediation, there was Mary Beard and Mark Wynn. Budget was Drew Goddard. Communications and outreach was Alicia Haddock and Sean Witzel. So those were the standing committees.
Can you send me an email of those committees?
Yes, I'll send all of this out, and then if you guys want to keep those particular committees the way that they are, then I think that communications and outreach is engagement and all of that. So those were the 6 standing committees.
we'll take a look at them, and I think there might be one or two that I might make some changes on.
Okay.
That's the reason why I asked you to send it out to me,
Okay, I will.
and we can take it. Go ahead.
I just have one announcement. First of all, a quick story. I went to eat sushi at one of my favorite spots, Osake, on the West End, and they have a delicious
go there.
baked salmon roll. Get you one.
okay.
But I was wearing my CRB hoodie, and the owner saw it and asked me what it was. And we ended up in this really great conversation about what he had never heard of the COB, the CRB. So it made me feel good to be able to just have that. It was just one person, but to have that interaction and have him ask me so many questions and be so interested in the work we're doing. So I just wanted to share that. But also announcement, the Women's March is this Saturday from 10 to 1 at Wasiato Park, formerly Cumberland Park. Yeah, so 592 South 1st Street. So that's from 10 to 1. So I just wanted people to know that.
I have one question. How many PPRs do we anticipate for the board meeting?
4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also wanted to say, you finished? I'm sorry.
What's
Mr.
it
Brown.
here? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the reports.
That's the
on,
complaint
completed
reports,
complaints,
yeah.
where the board approves them, disapproves them, or modifies them.
I wanted to say I also received a letter from the indigenous people of Middle Tennessee. I don't know if anybody else received. Did you get one?
No,
Oh, okay.
I talked to him today.
Oh, okay.
About another matter.
Okay. So they sent a letter to the Community Review Board. I was going to bring it and read it into the record, but I'll have it for the meeting. And they basically, it was a long letter, so I can't remember every bit of it, but I'm going to photocopy it and send it out to you all. And it was about representation. So I just want you guys to read it, and then we can address it at the board meeting.
He's an indigenous African.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any more new business? Any old business? You know, thank you for reminding me.
I do. Sorry. I thought I was done. I'm sorry. I did want to ask, because we are halfway through January. It's flying. And we have 6 months to complete the Police Academy training course that is required of new members. You may have already done it. I can't remember. How do we schedule that? Because
I'll schedule it for
You'll
you.
do it. Okay.
When they send me the information to say that the classes they have scheduled them. Usually it's in the spring. I would say like March or April, but I haven't received anything of yet. But I can send Miss Michelle. I can't remember her last name right now, but I can send it to her and ask her what the anticipated date, so you can already schedule it, because it is 12 weeks.
what's
So-
12 weeks? I'm sorry. You're kidding.
No, I'm not. It's 12 weeks.
The training, I thought it was a course.
No, it's not a course.
Mine is 14 weeks.
We have to go through the whole academy? Like,
No, it's not. It's yes. It's
thought
a
it was-
weekly commitment for 12 weeks
at night?
at night.
Okay. Yeah, we'll need those dates as soon as possible, please.
And if you doesn't complete it, then what happened?
Yes,
It's a statutory requirement.
correct. We might need to ask if we can do it. We might need to make some changes to try to ask 12 months. I mean, because there's only 2 classes per year, so there's one in the spring and one in the fall. I would suggest you do it in the spring. The fall, we went in the fall. It's rough. No, it's not. It's just that it's cold, and it's dark, and you're in class, But they have when we first started, it was specifically created for the COB, so there wasn't a whole lot of other people there. But I've heard now that it's the same one that the community goes to. So there's a lot of
In 2020, it was
Yeah.
the whole community.
yeah.
And it was 12.
Yeah.
Do I receive? Can I receive a motion?
Move to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Thank you all for coming out and participating in the executive board meeting. Appreciate it. Looking forward to 2025 and be successful and do the best I can for you, and hope that you continue to work with me. And we also do our best for the people in the community. That's the main thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway. You did.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.